This is the Open University. But beware, this is not the real Open University, but a synthetic and mendacious Open University devised by Momus, a Scottish electronic folk singer.
Good day, good evening, good morning. Welcome back to the Open University, where I'm talking today about photography. Everybody does it now because everybody carries little cameras around in their pockets. I'm no exception. What everybody doesn't do, though, necessarily, is juxtapose their photographs across a web page. In fact, you can't do that on my Tumblr. All you can do is look at the 10 or so pictures I shoot every day in a horizontal line. But what I do for my own personal enjoyment is I use an extension on Chrome. It's called Cascader, without an E, Cascader, just like Tumblr. It's not entirely random, but sometimes the juxtapositions are unexpected, and sometimes they throw up some interesting poetry. Here's the first pairing. It's a minimalist bakery in Pigalle, and then it's paired entirely randomly, really. Well, not entirely randomly, with a cleaning vehicle from the city of Paris. Not entirely randomly because I tend to post about 10 pictures a day, and I choose the sequence down the page of those pictures. So I have put these two images together in a certain sense, although not horizontally, vertically. So here, I think both pictures have a slight distortion of reality. Vehicles don't usually look like that, with funny little blue feet, clogs. And bakeries don't usually look so minimalist. And also the element of illusion is enhanced in this left picture by the mirror. There's a counter which is entirely a chunk of mirror, which makes an illusory space of even more polished concrete receding into the distance at a slightly different angle, as if it's sloping upwards. And I like that. The way that certain arrangements of space, this is a corner site in Pigalle, these arrangements can actually suggest a totally different grid, a different set of dimensions than the space actually is in. So the mirror is doing that, and the lighting's also doing that, because it's converging towards a point that would be several, dozens of meters off to the left. Those strip lights would converge, and therefore sort of designate a horizon if you look at traditional perspective lines and things. But also the absolutely utter minimalism of this space interested me. Okay, let's go to the next pairing and see what we can say about that. Okay, here's a shop, a coupons shop, as they say in French. Coupons are like little fabric rolls that you clip by the meter. It's called Reine, Queen. It's in Montmartre, at the foot of the Sacré-Cœur hill. And this shop is very eccentric. It's got these tiny models, about half-size human models. And they dress them in, I guess, children's clothes or specially made clothes, because they're too small for regular clothes. And she's wearing a pair of normal-sized spectacles, but they look huge and sort of 1970s on her face because she's a half-size model. And then next to that you have some coupons of tulle. I like the kind of almost acidic color of these. Then the next pairing is, there's a strange Turkish cultural center also in Pigalle with these Turkish plates, but also mixed in with funny kind of Mr. Peanut figures hiding at the bottom. It's like sort of comedy characters creep into a museum. And then we're back in the coupon shops, and Noemi's looking at rolls of fabric. I'm not sure if this really has much interest as a pairing. This pairing, the third one, some kids' drawings in the Agnès Bay shop on the Rue de Marseille. And what the postcard itself is an Agnès Bay official postcard, and then a child has made their own version of it, I think, which is rather more interesting. Then the shop I actually do buy my clothes in is called La Fripe, and it's up the hill. It's a really cheap Indian-run second-hand clothes store with just tables that clothes are heaped onto every day. And this is the €2 bin. Everything's €2 in there actually, but here's a bin of accessory clothes for €2. And I like the milky soft focus of the portrait mode on the iPhone, where you can actually throw things, even relatively close things, into a blur and then just have the focus crisply on the rim of something. But here, I suppose the interest here is the control of color. There's a lot of just gray, beige, and then you've got little bits of color. Again, this next one is, the green is the important detail here. The green of my bag in the reopened Swiss Cultural Center bookstore in Le Marais, and then the green of the door. This is a door that's being repainted, and I always wish they would just leave it in the half state, where it's got some weird artworks on it of, who knows, it looks a bit like Miyazaki kind of horde of little strange creatures with eyes. And then these white repaintings or underpaintings of the door. But again, it's the greenness that really matters there. I always make sure to include a lot of neutral space in the pictures and then some color, strategically positioned. This is also in the Swiss Cultural Center bookstore, Le Poisson Magique, the magic fish. These are little children-oriented bande dessinée cartoon books. And then the next picture is in the gallery Perrotin on the Rue de Turenne. And his gallery is really interesting because he's planted palm trees outside the windows, so it has this rather exotic look when you're inside, as if you're in the south somewhere. The current exhibition is someone who's copying 1920s monumental Picasso paintings, and that's Naomi being a not-so-monumental 21st century person. Next pairing, this is in the Dover Street Market. It's a bag, a sort of embroidered bag they do with a moog, although it says undercover. Think of a noise, now make it. I like the mixture of tech and handmade folksiness there. And I guess also the weird kind of 1970s advertising slogan look of it. And that's paired with an image of a guy's Fuji, what is it, 100, S100 is, I think, the model camera, which is rather elegant looking, photographed in my favorite branch of the coffee, which has this great tiled floor, a relic from when it used to be a flower shop there. This is also in Le Marais. Next pairing, some artworks, and here you do see a bit of an accidental juxtaposition of a couple of moles from a Diego Marcon film, a very amusing film in which apparently there's a children's song in Spanish, I think, which says that moles don't know how to add up sums. So Diego Marcon does a 30-minute video in which two moles are running through some very complicated addition sums.
Cinque più 14 più
15
15 più
14
più
5
5
più
più
19
più
3
più
più 15
più
più 13
più
più 1 più 9 più
più
Getting the wrong answer each time. It's a bit of a sort of theatre of cruelty, really, because by the end of 30 minutes you actually go crazy listening to this calculation, which is interrupted by thundering hooves and various sounds of owls and predators just outside the mole's home burrow. So then you juxtapose that with this sculpture, which is in the Swiss Cultural Center, of a cat, I suppose, on its hind legs with boobs. And you get a sort of trilogy of animals. This is a painting of the mummy The Mummied Girl of Strasbourg, which is an exhibit in the Musée de l'Homme in Paris. And I met the painter, actually. She came up when she saw me photographing this and told me the story of it, because I thought it was La Catrina from my song, from the Mexican Day of the Dead festival. La Catrina's come back from the dead. And here's L'Étudiant Noir is the pairing. It's a newspaper for black students, which is in a photograph which is being displayed in Art Paris last week. Art Paris, the big art fair in the Grand Palais. And this is more scenes from Art Paris, a design lamp. I love the pastel Art Deco kind of look of that lamp. Optimistic colours. And then we got this Michelangelo Pistoletto mirror. He's known for his mirror paintings in which he'll put a figure on a mirror. And this, of course, attracts narcissistic selfie lovers. So this woman has come up to take a picture of herself at the art fair in Pistoletto's mirror. And it's funny because you've got the girl taking a picture and you've got the girl taking a picture of the girl taking a picture. I met Pistoletto in Venice. Somebody jetted me out to an island, boated me out to an island to meet Pistoletto. It was like this private event, I think, some sort of art party, and Pistoletto was there. He was a little man with a beard. I just love that he's called Michelangelo, though, because it's, there are still people called Michelangelo. Imagine instead of just being called Michael, you would get christened Michelangelo. It sounds so much more grand. I'm reading Cellini's autobiography, which is an outrageous book just now. The metal maker, goldsmith, horrible guy. What a shit. I mean, really narcissistic, toxic personality, a bit like Trump in the art world of the Renaissance Italy, really, if you want to read that. But it's a rollicking read because he's so unprincipled and self-centered and murders people and has sex with all the wrong people and stuff like that. But anyway, this is the next pairing is some slightly Picasso-like paintings, which I like a lot, sort of collaged of bulls and various animals, rather like Picasso's mythology again. And then it's me doing the narcissistic selfie thing in another mirror with some sort of Daniel Buren-like sculptures adhering to it. This is Lucien Moriyama, the artist who got me in free to the Art Paris. I wouldn't pay the ridiculous fee to get in there. I once delivered a lecture, though, at Art Paris in this building in the dark at the invitation of Abocchi. I did an emotional lecture as part of my series of emotional lectures where I'd start off like an academic, a critic, describing an artist's work, and then it turned out that the artist had fucked my wife, and I got very angry with him, and my voice rose, and the whole thing became a bit of a tirade against the artist. I love this woman in the accompanying picture with the Hello Kitty... No, it's not Hello Kitty, it's Miffy hair clip and the very 70s glasses. She's a classic aesthete, possibly rich, but possibly just arty. I don't know. Middle-aged woman with a real style to her, sort of air hostess from the 1960s or something, mixed with a connoisseur, of course. But someone I saw later that day on the street beats the outfit, this black woman who lives very close to where I live, actually, wearing a kind of Coco Chanel blanket across an interesting African dress and a little blue hat. I thought that was pretty cool. L'école n'est pas une économie. School is not a saving you can make. You can't cut schools, basically, is the slogan on the right there. Next is a book I saw on the street, just the cover of a book, a novel called Qui sait, Who Knows? And someone's added, Qui sait où est ton cerveau? Who knows where your brain is? And a bookshop near the Jourdain Metro with very antiquarian shelves. Rather nice. I love bookshops like that. Silence ça pousse. Be quiet, this is growing. It's growing. Telling the traffic to quieten down, which is something I'm wholly in favour of. Or disappear, even. I love these work tables, which are, trestle tables, kind of very high-tech and very specialist, where you can only get them from, DIY stores. This one's got these metal legs and then a wooden top, and then some strange tire, like rubber tire material, alongside it. Next pairing is just a torn artwork on the street, but it looks very subtle. Not exactly the kind of street art you usually see. Next to a ventilator grate, this was spotted near the Quartier Montorgueil. And then next to it is more coupons, more fabric rolls, which are, this time in Le Sentier, which is another fabric specialized district of Paris in the north part of sort of Montorgueil. And here's just a selfie of me and my girl sitting in the Palais Royal. And then there's a kind of Pierrot. And because I style myself a little bit with the style of Pierrots, I kind of always like to see a Pierrot. Some more coupons, some more fabric. This is from Le Sentier. And then there's a shot in the window of Cahiers Central, which is a really good art bookstore, of a strange poodle with a rather frightening face. Some Chinese or Korean tabletops which are being thrown away on the street. They're all broken and sort of in disrepair. I didn't pick them up. And then this is, on the right, some steps in the Parc des Bouts de Chaumont on a very delightful summery day in April. A cork stool. This is at the Marché Saint-Germain, I think it's called, where the Apple store is, and on the left bank. And there's a terrible cafe there called the Café de Clown, the Clown Cafe, which you'd think had a promising name, but the coffee's just awful. And then there's me in the Luxembourg Gardens, wearing a headscarf to keep the sun off my head and face. And here's Aki Sasamoto on the cover of Freeze. I did a show with her called Love is the End of Art in 2009 in New York, and here she is all these years later, 16, 17 years later, with one of her classic performances with a bucket and a kind of lobster brush thing on the cover of Freeze, and there's an interview inside you can read. And Noemi sitting on the bench outside a cafe called Motors. Here's the Luxembourg Gardens again, and I was photographing an operation. They'd closed off part of the park because there's some beehives there, and these beekeepers were approaching and climbing over the poles. I spoke to this guy at the front. He actually reproached me for taking photographs. Apparently it's not allowed to take photographs of the beekeepers in their bee costume. I don't know why. But then he was friendly after that, because I was asking him about the bees and what they were doing, and he was quite chatty, actually. And then next to that is Robert Walser. His little poetic texts, which I really love. I'm a huge fan of Robert Walser. Very eccentric, especially his later micrograms, which were deciphered from almost minuscule and very almost incomprehensible code he used to write his stories in cafes and things on very tiny bits of paper. It's me with a pair of glasses I bought for €5 somewhere, rather strange. Wire-supported, wire-rimmed glasses. And a crow in a tree near the Motors Cafe again. I like doorways, Paris doorways, which are a bit run down and have a lot of texture to them. Oh yeah, here's the Cellini book, The Life of Benvenuto Cellini. This is book 2, written by himself. This is a shot of the entrance to OFR Paris. I kind of like how the composition looks like I didn't compose, but there is composition here, the symmetry of the two bookstands on either side of the door. And then this is on the right, it's a covering for a sculpture which possibly is indecent. I often photograph this, it's a little workshop where they do, an atelier where they do sculptures, and they show them in the windows. But every time I photograph them, because they're often nude women, and put them on my Tumblr, I actually get a adult content strike. Actually, Tumblr refuses to shows really how Puritan Tumblr has got, because it used to be a place where you could show pretty much anything, and it's now very much not. The algorithm they use goes in and flags up all sorts of things which are completely innocuous, like men's breasts or whatever, you know. This is a work of art, actually, which is a pair of shoes, brogues with the tassels amplified to huge dimensions, a bit like enormous testicles hanging off the shoe, which is funny. It makes me laugh to look at it. But it's also just a nice Duchampian kind of game with context and scale. And next to it, a 70s logo. I love my 70s logos. I think it's an association of shoemakers or something that used this logo in the 70s, and you still see it around. Here's a bicycle with a bright neon yellow rope to keep goods in the carrier. And it's Naomi in a little garden with some nice contre-jour. And it's all about colour, I think, these two. And also this milky bokeh, which the iPhone allows you to do. That colour is applied to the street in the next band. This is Bless, which is in Le Marais. Bless is a Berlin-based design team for clothes mostly, but very conceptual, a lot of sort of funny ideas to do with cables and electric goods and things as well, but yeah, mostly a fashion outfit. So they have this window which is sort of multicolored, strangely reflective. So I photographed the street using that. And then the next picture is in the kids' version of Centre Commercial, where they'd built a kind of doll's house that I was ensconced in. I always like little structures within structures. This is from an exhibition at an art centre called Le Plateau. I forget the name of the artist. She's pretty good, this artist. I made an AI version, dropping myself into one of her other drawings, actually, which maybe I'll drop in here. And then next to that, you see the young communist poster, which looks like a classic sort of 1940s or 50s political poster you might have seen in Paris back then. It's commemorating between 1920 and 2026 the battle against imperialism. There I am sort of saluting or fixing my hair in Librairie Sans Titre, the bookshop without a title, which is an excellent bookshop on the Avenue Parmentier. And another of the works of this artist I was just mentioning, pencil, beautifully coloured and textured pencil drawings currently on show in the workspace of Le Plateau. This is another thing showing in the Plateau, which is the kind of fake ethnographic figures or altered ethnographic figures. So it's as if you're in a museum, but the artist has run wild, painting sunglasses and ski visors on these ancient Egyptian heads. And then there's a church which is on the Boulevard de Magenta. This is a book seen in a cafe called Paris d'Abang. It's typologies of Korean buildings. So it's kind of stuff you would see in Seoul, isolated and typologized. Because I'm still, I go to Seoul a lot, but I'm still an amateur at deciphering visually what the clutter of Seoul is. And I don't really know why buildings are the way they are, why they look like that, why they have those gate posts and those green tinted windows and the red brick and everything. I haven't really got into the history of how it became Seoul. So this book is very useful, this magazine, which is called, what's it called? Something about deciphering Seoul or something like that. And then yet another of these drawings by this artist, whose name I've no doubt put on the screen for you. This is a market stall. I love when people who run market stalls do something rather creative with their displays. So this person has done little plastic buckets. I guess you can just buy a punnet of, onions, like you would a punnet of strawberries, or cucumbers or pickles or whatever they are. Someone's pre-selected little gift packs almost of vegetables. And also, of course, there's this all-important green plastic backing. A work of, I guess, street art using carrelage, using tiling. A man falling from the sky, no less. This is in the graveyard Père Lachaise. And in the background, you'll see the tomb of the family Babe, the Babe family, who were presumably not babes when they died. And then yet another of these artworks. In fact, this is the one I kind of stole for my selfie, to drop my selfie into it in the same style. It's rather naughty of me. More of that artist with the grumpy cat. I liked the zigzaggy energy of the blue and white. Red, white and blue, which so many flags use because it's such an effective colour combination. This is a sort of accidental red, white and blue on a fishmonger's stand, which has been closed up, I think. An IKEA chair being thrown out on the street. I liked the background, the painterly wall in the background with the chair in front of it. It's a beautiful blue, cream and white combination. And then this is me in a cafe called The Coffee, just off the Magenta République area. And I've got my pocket Diderot. Advertising on the back, 3 other volumes of Diderot, actually. The Rameau's nephew, Jack the Fatalist, and Les Bijoux Indiscrets. Les Bijoux Indiscrets is the only one I've read of those 3, actually, which is a sexy book about vaginas which can talk. Diderot, apart from being one of the founders of l'Encyclopédie, which was one of the key publications of the Enlightenment, was a bit of a sexy beast and wrote this erotic novel. I think there is a definite relationship between erotic curiosity and intellectual curiosity, so Diderot is a key figure for that. And I'm juxtaposed with a beggar woman, actually, who is wearing a very interesting combination of patterns on the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Denis. This is an Arnold Circus stool by Martino Gamper seen in a bookshop called After 8, which is a publishing company as well, does some very good work. Very interesting bookshop on the Rue Jarry, just off the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Denis here in Paris. And this is them also showing Dirty Books, which is a new history about the connections between erotic fiction and avant-garde publishing. I liked this psychoanalyst's doorbell having a screw loose, and many screws loose and wires loose, because those are expressions for madness. So maybe a disgruntled customer has come and pushed the bell buttons a bit hard, or just destroyed them in a fit of schizophrenic frenzy. This is an old advert. I'm kind of blown away sometimes by the design of old advertising in old magazines. You wouldn't really see that now, this sort of elegance, but I guess this is 1930s. And Biotrigon, I don't know what it was it oil? It looks like an oil company or something. But I think it's a specialist publication for some profession or other. This is a beautifully crumbled, I don't know if it's meant to be destroyed and crumbled in the way it is, but it makes it much better, so much better. Like the Grand Glace of, the Grand Verre of Marcel Duchamp, which he said was better after it got smashed and reconstructed. Oh yeah, this is Cahiers de Sol is the magazine I was talking about before, where it's actually the typology of Sol buildings. That's a very interesting book about Sol, which I was reading in Dabang, Paris Dabang. Somebody's pottery spotted through a window. I like the Zen simplicity of that pot. That's also from that Cahiers de Sol, because it's showing on a table, on a trestle table, beautifully drawn, the mountains which surround Sol. So it's a kind of abstraction of the jagged, rocky setting of Sol. And then up on the wall in Paris Dabang, you have this beautiful image of Louise Bourgeoise with Lafayette on the right there. She's got her favorite sculpture, the little girl, which is also a penis. Lafayette is a sort of French slang for a penis. So this is the little girl. We just bought this lamp. It's a fake Artemide lamp, which normally would be hundreds of euros, but we got for €5. But it's a plastic, tacky Chinese version with LED bulbs. Looks good from above, but when you see it from below, you see how tacky and cheap it is. And then some Bangladeshi plastic teapots, which you often see in these clusters outside exotic grocery shops. I'm going to leave it there because I think I've probably spoken enough.
Open University.